Alright guys, we've come a long way with the Archery series and covered basically all the fundamentals needed to be a skilled bow technician. This is the Pro Edition and we are going to take things to the next level. We'll learn how to work efficiently as you need to do in a pro shop, servicing multiple bows and performing advanced tuning and doing more difficult repair and technical setup work. As always, no fancy expensive stuff, just reliable, hard-working tools at a fair price, tools that get the job done efficiently and are built to last, and of course, only tools I've personally used for years and I know are worth the money and won't let you down. First and most indispensable, the bow press. We'll be working with the Last Chance Archery EZ Green around $500, but you can often find deals below $400. I'll link one in the description. It's the cheapest of all Last Chance Archery's bow presses and the best selling. Tough, reliable, extremely effective, and at a very fair price. I've used this press for years. It's not perfect, it's got some minor issues, but stick with me and I'll show you some adjustments and a couple of little tricks to make this press work fast and accurately. First, the specs. Axle to axle range 25 to 48 inches, more than enough to work with basically every modern bow on the market, from pressing the very small young kids bows to completely relaxing any full-size bow limbs. That would be the case, for example, if you need to replace the limbs and then press the bow back to where you need to reinstall string and cables. The EZ Green can press up to 90 pounds, which again means it will cover any bow you'll encounter. Very important note, this press cannot be used with crossbows. If you plan on working with crossbows, you'll need to get the EZ Green X bow model, which is a little bit more expensive. Also very important. This press lets you install accessories like the Last Chance Archery drop board and the Last Chance Archery Bow Vise, which is a very effective, practical and affordable way to set up your shop, saving both money and space. You can basically have bow press, drop board and bow vise all combined in a single tool. The press is designed to be mounted directly on a wooden table. It comes with no stand and you'll find in the package 4 lag screws to permanently secure it to a workbench. We won't be using those. Instead, we'll use 4 5/16 by 2 inches carriage bolts and 4 5/16 butterfly knobs, which allow the press to be easily removed. This way you can take the press with you into the field or set it aside when you need space to work on your bench, which is going to be very useful, especially if your shop is not very large. The press comes with 4 standard fingers, which let you work with basically any bow, including those with parallel or past parallel limbs, for which you'll need to make some minor adjustments that we'll cover in a minute. These fingers are compatible with Matthews limb support caps for past parallel limbs. That means you'll be able to work on any Matthews bow with limbs support caps. Anyway, if you want a Matthews custom finger set, that can be ordered separately from Last Chance Archery, but of course that's an additional cost. You can also get from Last Chance Archery a set of limb lock fingers that work in conjunction with the limb lock cylinders set that holds the bottom part of the limb and prevent the bow from slipping downward. That's recommended for all non-Matthews bows with extreme past parallel limbs. Included in the package, you will also receive a drawstop finger, designed for the few bows that have a limb stop, mostly elite models. This shorter finger passes under the limb stop, so you don't have to remove it before placing the bow in the press. Let's mount the press on our working table. Place the press no more than 2 to 3 inches from the front edge of the table and mark the position of the 4 bolts. Then drill 4 5/16 inch holes through the table. As said, rather than bolting it down permanently, we'll use carriage bolts and butterfly knobs to fix it securely, quick to install and just as easy to take off whenever you need. Once the press is mounted, press down the leaf spring's front edge and slide in the 4 fingers facing inward. Personally, I like to cut 4 pieces of pipa liner tube about 1 inch long, slit them on one side and slide them onto the sharp ends of the 4 steel leaf springs. I strongly suggest you do the same, and I'll show you in a moment how this simple trick will prevent bow limbs from getting damaged. Finally, cut a small strip from one of those refrigerator magnetic cards about 2 inches long, or find any magnet that fit the purpose and attach it to the moving arm of the press. We'll use this to mark our reference point to repress a bow that we have fully relaxed without risking overpressing it. Let's start using the press. Hold the bow in place and close the press so the fingers are close to the limbs but not touching them. Then slide each finger left and right until they sit perfectly on top of the limbs and are not touching anything else, cams, spacers or anything else that they could damage. Also, having the fingers sit exactly on top of the limb avoids putting uneven pressure on the limb and torquing it. Hold the bow against the fingers on one side of the press and, using the adjusting knob, tilt the finger forward up to where the limbs are set about 1 inch away from the edge of the leaf springs. This will give you enough room to press the bow and will make sure the springs will not hit and damage the limbs. As you can see, if you happen to forget this step, the rubber tube we placed around the spring edge will protect the limbs from any damage. Make sure to tilt the fingers forward just enough to maintain about 1 inch of clearance between the limbs and the springs. Avoid tilting them so far that the pressing face angles downward, because especially with past parallel limbs, this could cause the bow to slide and pop out of the press downward. Remember, when removing the string and cables, you only need to press the bow about 1 inch maximum, roughly 1/2 inch on each side. 1 inch clearance is more than enough to press any bow while keeping the limbs clear of the springs. Never over tilt the fingers, it's risky, not needed, and could hurt you and damage the bow. Once one finger is set at the correct inclination, take a spacer. You can use any object that fits exactly between the back of the finger and the base of the support plate, and use it to set all the other fingers at the same angle. For example, for the finger set for this Hoyt we are working with, a 6mm insert works perfectly, or you can line them up by eye. Just align your line of sight with the set finger outer surface, then tilt the other finger forward until it is perfectly parallel with the first. Repeat the procedure with the other 2 fingers on the other side of the press. This ensures all the fingers are set at the exact same angle, allowing you to press the limbs evenly and in parallel without putting any torque on the bow riser or the cam axles or risking damage to the axles or their housings in the limbs. Also, if you need to quickly slide off a cam axle to add or replace a spacer while paper tuning, you can do it and reinsert it immediately without having to fully remove the strings and completely relax the limbs. But if you press the limbs unevenly, that will put torque on the cam axle, causing it to get stuck in its housing, or even if you manage to pull the axle out, you'll never be able to push it back in because the axle holes on the limbs are not aligned. Finally, if you need to completely relax the bow limbs, for example when replacing them, which we'll cover in one of the coming videos, press the bow just enough to remove the strings. Then place the magnetic strip we cut out of the fridge magnetic card at the position you are at on the press's moving arm scale. Now you can fully relax the limbs, and when you repress the bow to reinstall the strings, you'll know exactly how far to press, and you won't risk overpressing and potentially damaging the bow. This is all for this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Coming up next, the drop board, the Last Chance Archery Drop Board 2.0. Right after, the Bow Vise, Last Chance Archery EZ Green Vise, and much more will follow.